All right, we are live inside the Profitable Christian Business Owners Community, and we another episode of the Entrepreneur Journey podcast. I am so pleased to have Trae Bohlen with me today. Trae is an awesome brand strategist, and we're going to dive into some of that. We're going to hear about her entrepreneurial story, but first, Trae, I want you to start just by telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Trae Bohlen. I am a mom. I was homeschooled and now I am homeschooling. I'm super involved in our church plant in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I am really passionate about giving the gospel and trying to weave that into every aspect of my life. And I know that that might be my gifting, but I love helping other people think about how to share the gospel creatively. And that has nothing to do with what I do for business, but I have started 6 different businesses, and with the Lord's help, have been able to grow them to be 6-figure businesses. And that's what I love helping people do now, is capture who they are, their personal brand, and translating that into social media content.
Nice, nice. Now this is going to be the oddest question to come off of what you just said. You said Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Wolverines just won the championship. Are you a football fan at all? Are you a Michigan fan at
I
all?
am a football fan adjacent, so I like the community gatherings that come with
Mm,
football stuff. I host things. I'm like, yay, whoever's on the TV, let's do the things with the balls. But I'm here for the community part. I'm here for the making all the food, making everybody feel comfortable, and yeah, the community aspect. That's why I
nice,
like sports.
nice. I'm a big Clemson football fan. And
Nice.
my wife kind of feels the same way. Like she's like, who's playing?
Yes. Well, here's how I describe it. I love the sports, the story behind the story
Mm.
that's told in like 90 minutes. Oh, I like a sports movie. That's what I like.
There you go. The blind side. Give you the blind
Yes.
side all day.
Yes. But you know what? I'm a storyteller, so that makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
like, I wonder what's going on in the quarterback's life right now. Well, that's a
Yeah.
sports movie. That's not
That,
the game.
that explains the whole Taylor Swift phenomenon right there.
Yes, because it's drawing people like me in because we're like, this is an amazing story. Let's hear more.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Nice, nice. Not to keep going in this direction, but last thing I'll say about this is there was this meme going around where Taylor Swift's whispering into Travis Kelce's ear and is like, what is she saying? Wrong answers only. And I said, the NFL wants me to play for the Chiefs, both offense and defense, so I could be on camera more often.
Yes, yes. I've actually seen all the conspiracy theories about that's why they're in the final Super
Mm,
Bowl game,
hmm.
because of that. And I was like, I can buy in. I mean, I'm not a real conspiracy theorist, but that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. How can we get more Taylor Swift? They have to
Yeah,
keep going. Is there
exactly.
is there a game after the Super Bowl that they can play?
Right. We just want to hear more of that story.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome. So let's get into some other questions. I want to know what inspired you to become a brand strategist and a photographer.
You know, that's a great question. I built my first business, which was a knitting business.
Wow.
That's not really connected to photography at all, but I had to take my own pictures. And I found that the better I was at photography, the better it was at bringing in an income, right? Because they
Mm,
had the beautiful picture. But then I found that sharing more of myself also drew in people to me. So I was like, that worked. And then when I launched another business, it was like I had great pictures and I had a story, and that was connecting me with my ideal client. And so I think the interesting thing was I've been able to see it in my life. And so now I want to help other people do it because I'm not an influencer. I don't match like a certain look of what's popular or whatever. But what I found was the thing that was drawing people to me was me being who God created me to be, and it was attracting people. So that's why I'm all about helping people understand who you were created to be, what your personal brand is, and then let's put that out there in social media.
nice, nice. We're going to dive into more about how you do that in just a little bit, but I have more questions for you that aren't necessarily about what you do. Since you love capturing life's little details, what's one moment you've personally documented that holds a special place in your heart?
Oh my goodness. So I got my start in photography, newborn photography. And my friend has recently had her 7th baby. and her sixth baby has a genetic mutation where she has seizures every day of her
Oh,
life. And I was able to capture this beautiful picture of all her children together, even the sweet little baby who has the seizure issues. And yeah, that was my favorite little moment. We don't know how long
mm,
um, she'll be with us, but to be able to capture that first one of the first moments with all seven of her kids. And she's like, oh my goodness, like I didn't know if I would have this moment to be
yeah.
captured. So
Wow.
that's my favorite to date. It'll probably keep being my favorite because it's just so powerful, the Lord's hand and the miracle that her little life is. And yeah. So
Awesome. 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 Here's a question that I sometimes ask. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
well, I feel like if I don't say Jesus, like he's
You're-
got to be one.
yeah.
I think I really love The Chosen because it
Hmm.
really is kind of showing us maybe a different aspect of what the Savior of the world could have been like, and
Hmm.
I do feel like I resonate with like that earthly, funny kind of quality that I think he might have been
Yeah.
like, and I feel like he'd be a great conversation starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Why wouldn't he want us to laugh, right? He knows that that brings us joy.
right, exactly. And obviously we'd have lots of deep conversations, and I'm all about that. I think my second person that I would love to have for dinner would be Elizabeth Elliot. I just finished reading the two recent biographies that were amazing, and it really helped me to see her in a different way, her more human side.
Mm.
And she was a deep thinker too, and she had lots of life experiences. And even at the end of her life, made some choices that people were like, "Really, really, Elizabeth Elliot? What's up with that?" And so I like that I like the idea of like just chatting with her about things. And she was a real person who had insecurities, um and I think like that's all of us, right? Um yeah, and then I think my husband, honestly, like
Yeah.
I love him and I know he's not famous, but he's a strong and steady type and he has a great laugh. And I think
Nice.
that he would just bring a lot to our conversations. And it's nice when you are in a group of people where you have someone that you're like,
Mhm.
okay, you're my calm and steady, and I
Yeah.
know that like this would be great. So yeah, Jesus, Elizabeth Elliot, and my husband. I think it'd make a
Yeah.
great conversation.
Yeah, I don't know if I really qualified it if all three people are there at once, but if you had dinner with Jesus and you didn't invite your husband, I think that might be a problem.
Right. I think he'd really want to be there to like
Yeah.
be in on the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be pretty cool. All right, all right. So this is a question I ask everyone since it's a shameless plug. I say this every time because I had this book come out recently, Dear Younger Me, I Wish You Knew 15
Yes.
Powerful Letters That Will Change Your Life. So I've been asking every entrepreneur, if you could go back in time to talk to your younger self, what age would you be at that time, and what would you tell your younger self?
Oh goodness. So many things, Doug. So many things. I think I'd like to go back to probably like 18, 19, 20, like
Mm,
19. And I'd really love to talk about um, the purity culture.
mm,
I think, you know, for my time frame, it was very much like, if you do this, then you will get this. And I
mm,
had a lot of things tied up in what marriage would be or could be. And I think I was in 13 weddings.
wow.
I did not get married until I was 30. And I was like that walking 27 dresses movie, where it's like I sang in weddings. I was a wedding coordinator. I was very wedding adjacent, but it wasn't happening for me. And I feel like I just want to tell myself like that isn't the end all be all.
Mm,
Like it's a beautiful gift and it's okay if it doesn't happen when you think it should happen, and just to be content, and that isn't the prize. Marriage isn't the prize. Yeah.
yeah, nice, nice. Wow. I recently watched a documentary because I'm just guessing. the age, like, so it was about the 90s, and that was a like a huge push in the 90s was the purity
Yes.
culture. But
And I don't think it's wrong. I think we should be. I think that is something that we should strive towards. I think that is something that God calls us to holiness, to
mm,
purity. But I don't think there is a you do this and here's your end result of this, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. All right. The next staple of the entrepreneur journey is the fill in the blank question, and that revolves around entrepreneurship. So your fill in the blank question is being an entrepreneur means blank.
Being an entrepreneur means that I get to help people and I get to help them with something that I am good at. And that is going to give them their time back. And I love being able to use my gifts to help other people. The other little thing is that I am a homeschooling mom, and I feel like there's this beautiful, like, little marriage between entrepreneurs and family.
Mm.
And I probably think that because I'm the daughter of two entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship runs very deep in my family tree. My grandfather was one. Lots of my
Wow.
aunts and uncles, lots of my cousins are. But there's something that's really beautiful about being an entrepreneur and what that does for your family, giving you time back, giving you ways to connect. And yeah, that's what it means to me.
Yeah, there's a whole lot that we could unpack there around entrepreneurship and freedom, because sometimes people become entrepreneurs and don't take advantage of the freedom. It becomes more of a then
Right.
less you get less freedom because you didn't
Right.
set that as a priority. Um,
Right.
so
We're working 80 hours a week and I get to be an entrepreneur. That means in a 40-hour work week, I'm working 80 hours. And I
yeah.
think if you're a forward thinker entrepreneur, you will think, what can I outsource in order for
Mhm.
me to do the thing that I'm great at?
Yeah.
And that's where you just see brands go,
Yep.
businesses skyrocket because they're outsourcing the things they're not good at, right? And that makes
Yeah.
you stronger.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who it was with, but I was having a conversation. I think it was even on one of these podcasts with someone about that, how you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. It is okay for one of your team members to be smarter than you, because you want to hire people that are smarter than you in certain areas. So,
Oh, heck yes.
so
That just makes your whole entire company, your whole entire business, just this forward motion, right? And I think too, because I love to work B2B, I'm helping other businesses grow. I'm helping other businesses move forward, and that's what gives me joy. I'm
mhm.
like, "Oh my goodness, like this work that I did like helped them gain a lot of ground." Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's amazing.
that's one of the primary things that I love most about being an entrepreneur as well. So now it's for the heart of the entrepreneur journey interview, and I want you to share your story. And I leave this free open. You don't have to follow any type of. You got to start when you got to start when you started, right? Talk about that and go where I want you to kind of tell your story. Start where you want to start. Tell what you want to tell, and just fill us in.
Okay, well, it could be very, very long. I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years, but like I mentioned, I'm the daughter of two entrepreneurs, and my grandfather became an entrepreneur at the end of his life. So he
Wow.
quit Ford and became a finishing carpenter. And that was just who he was. And my dad, with his business, he came home from Vietnam and started working for the family business for his uncle and learned the trade, and then decided in the 80s to go out on his own. And he did that. And I was little, like I'm older than I look. I was a little kid. And the dinner table was the boardroom, and that's where I learned so much about
Mm,
business. And I learned from my dad that you do the thing that you say you're going to do. You show up, you put in the hard work. He has a car detailing business, so you're outside, you're doing the work. um and you're a person of integrity. Your word is your bond. And I saw us united as a family praying around the business and
mm,
God growing it. And you know what? God not always growing it, right? There's ups and downs to entrepreneurship, and just seeing the Lord increase our faith and always taking care of us. I learned that from my dad. And then my mom is also an entrepreneur. And I feel like what I learned from her was community building.
mm.
just relationship building. My dad too, but my mom is definitely more warm and fuzzy, you know, and just seeing that she was friends with people. She built relationships with them. So she was building that know, like, and trust. And then naturally people were gravitating towards her and seeking her out and her business and what she did. So actually that's where my journey started, when I was a kid. But as I became older, I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's a lot of pressure. I don't really want that. I'm just going to go to school. Maybe I'll be a missionary. Maybe I'll be an evangelist. I have a theology degree, Bible degree. And I was like, that's probably what I'm going to do. But as you heard from my story a little bit previously, I didn't get married right away. So it's really hard to be a pastor's wife without a pastor,
Yeah.
but a pastor to marry. And so I did in-home care for the elderly. I worked at a library. I worked at a hotel. I was a nanny. I did all of these things that was like helping people. And so when I finally did get married and I was still doing in-home care, my husband actually was laid off for the first 9 months of our marriage. And I was like, okay, I am making $14 an hour helping people, which is great. I love helping people, but we cannot live on this. And a friend of mine told me about an emerging industry, newborn photography. It was just starting. And she's like, I know you're creative and I know you knit. Why don't you knit little outfits for these babies to wear during photos? And I was like, that's really kind of weird, but I'll give it a go. I am creative. Let's see what happens. And I started designing and making things. And Doug, I'm going to be really honest, they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. And I had some feedback that I got from someone who purchased from me. And she was like, this design is really nice, but let me show you how it doesn't work. And she gave me some tips and feedback. And so I cried and then I made it better. And that's a big part of my journey as an entrepreneur was receive the feedback, change the things that I need to change, and then move on. And the cool thing is I'm still friends with that photographer. And actually I was in her wedding. We're like great, great friends, obviously. And I think that's always been a big part of my journey. Okay. I did the newborn photography knitting, and built that business, and it really skyrocketed with people's feedback, changing, growing, developing that personal brand. And then the next business that I built was with skincare, selling makeup. And I was just honest with people. I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we can learn together. And I was just myself, and I was able to grow that business too. And then with the other businesses, it was pretty much the same thing of like, here I am, let's do this together, and creating that community online. All of these businesses I grew online. And so when it came down to like, I was doing the knitting, I was doing photography, I was doing all these different things. I was kind of shown this personal brand photography, and I was like, that's really interesting. And, you click on it, and I was reading more, and I'm like, wait a second, that's what I've been doing this whole time. Yes, I'm going to take a course in it. Yes, I want to learn more about it. Took the course, learned a ton, was like, this is where I want to go. This is the direction I want to go in. And it was 2019. So, this is where the story gets fun. And I was pregnant with my son. I connected with some business folks in the area, and I was like, listen, like, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. Will you be my brand ambassador? They were really excited. It was a husband and wife. They were super excited. Like, I took photos for them. She threw me a baby shower. I was like, this is amazing. Then the pandemic hit right after I had my son. Everything kind of got like thrown for a loop. Super long story short, my brand rep folks decided to launch their own brand photography business just 50 miles from me. And that really upset the apple cart for me for a little bit. It really threw me for a loop. And I cried, right? Because feel the feeling. And then move on. Figure out, do you still want to do that? Is that a good plan for you? Is there something better? And that's when I really feel like the Lord showed me the thing that was better. That it wasn't just taking pretty pictures, because I had done that. I can do that. But it's helping people with the next part of it, right? Okay, you got the pictures, now what? You've
Mhm.
got the awesome product, now what? It's helping them make that connection with, okay, here's the product, here's your story. Let's tell it,
Mhm.
because it's not just about a cute headshot and looking good and like, okay, here I am. Boom. Okay. Now you share that. What are you going to share with it? So that's why with my team, we have a videographer, we have a copywriter, we have a social media management, working on a couple of other different things, because I recognized it wasn't just a pretty picture. And I recognized that the thing that I wanted to build in 2020, 2019 can't be what I build now, because the industry and everything has evolved and changed so much about social media since the pandemic.
Yeah.
People want to get to know you. And that's one of my superpowers, is helping you be vulnerable, helping you uncover who that is and how that translates to social media. So that's kind of how I went from here all the way over to here, and where my passion comes from too, you know?
Nice. So a couple things. First thing I want to touch on is um, the foundation that your mom built in building relationships. That was pre-internet, right? Like she was building these relationships. There was no Zoom. There was no Facebook.
There was
There
no
was.
Zoom, there was no internet. She was doing everything. Her business was actually crafting. So she
Mhm.
would get together all of the things that you needed to make that beautiful eucalyptus wreath. And you'd invite your friends and have like a little appetizers or whatever. And she'd teach you how to make that wreath. And that
Wow.
was her business. Like, before Martha Stewart, before Pinterest, before any of that kind of stuff, she was very, very cutting edge.
Yeah.
And it was all with relationships.
But you were able to take what she taught you from that foundations of building relationships and transfer it into an online world,
Exactly.
which it's like 10x from there, right? Because you have just so
Right.
much more access. So really, really
And
cool.
you can reach so many more people. My mom could meet people at the store when she was out and about, and she's great at, being a friend to somebody, but online, you can reach hundreds of thousands of people.
Yep. Yep. The other thing I wanted to touch on is how similar part of your story was to mine, and I just want the audience to pick up on this, is that when let me put this exactly how I want to put it. When you were doing the brand photography, it wasn't that's kind of like when I was making websites, right? It was something to give someone, but it wasn't really the final result that they really were looking for. So
Yes.
then we got into the traffic and the conversions to the website, which was what really they were looking for, more customers, right?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
sold them a better solution, even though the tool was
Right.
part of the solution. We sold them a better solution, much like you are doing now, with starting with the brand photography as part of the toolkit, but it's not the ultimate outcome that you're trying to get people to.
Exactly. And what I found was I would do these awesome sessions, and then people wouldn't use the photos because they didn't know how to. They
Hmm.
didn't know what to do with them now that they got them. Maybe they put the headshot up on their website, maybe they'd change, the profile picture on Facebook, but the content to go along with that, you're more than a headshot. You're more than a pretty picture, Doug.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's dive a little bit more into the expertise. I'm going to ask you our secret question. So, what is the secret to infusing authenticity into your brand strategy?
You have to be willing to get raw.
Mm.
You have to, and I'm not talking like come online and start crying, but showing people more, sometimes more than you're willing to, you know, sharing the ups and downs, the highs and lows. People want to know your story.
Mm.
And a part of that is also knowing how to tell the story. So many people are not great at telling their story. And that's what I help you with,
Nice.
because you can't just be raw and vulnerable. Like, we have to have a storyline that we're going through. And the way that we do that is through a conversation. We just have a conversation. We get to know you, get to know your story. And then I found that the major part of my superpower is being able to direct you and ask you questions and help you unlock more of that story, because it's in you. You know
Hmm.
who you are, who God made you to be, but it's just, how does that translate to social media content? I say this over and over. I'm not about pain points. I'm not about what's your avatar. Let's write that down. Who's going to shop with you? Let's come up with that luxury client. Because that's what I was told. That's what I was told when I started photography. Okay, who's going to spend this amount of money for this? Well, they've got to have a lot of money. So let's write that down. Luxury, making a lot of money people. It doesn't work that way. You have to authentically be yourself, and that's going to attract people to you. If you just have a list of negative things that you're going to help solve with this, that can only go so far. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
How have I been able to have all these different people follow me through all these different paths? Was it that I'm awesome at saying how terrible their lipstick was, so now you've got to try mine? No, I'm just awesome at being who God made me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love unlocking for other people.
Yeah, and I like to say, unless you're like Coca-Cola or Apple or something like that, people don't do businesses with a logo. They do business with people.
Yep.
So
And then you have to be able to show them who you are so you can build that know, like, and trust. If you haven't read Go Giver, Bob Burg's book,
mm-hmm.
it's freaking amazing. And I think as believers, we should embody that. We should be looking to add value. We should be looking for ways to serve. And so many of us come from that perspective. But how do you convey that in content? That's what I love helping people with.
Nice. So on that note, how do you help people with heart-led content that connects them to their ideal client?
It's all about understanding more of who that person is and their motivations, why they've come to that point. And sometimes they don't even know their why. Most people are like, oh, my why is my children. Okay, yes, your why is God, your why is Jesus, your why is your children. But what's that story that got this going for you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a desperation, like with my husband and I at the beginning of our marriage, like not having anything. $14 an hour does not pay for everything. It doesn't.
Right.
So some people are coming from that place of desperation and they need this to work, or inspiration from my parents and seeing that entrepreneur journey, the heart to help people, that's the magic.
Yeah. I've read a lot of comic books as a kid. And it's all about the origin story, right? Like
Yes.
everyone's favorite comic book from that hero is their origin story. That's
Yes.
why so many movies that come out are about the origin story, how they get to become that superhero. So
Mhm.
you help people tell that origin story.
Did you know that my podcast is going to be called Origin Stories? Did we
I
have
did
that
not.
conversation?
We did not. We did not. That's pretty cool. That is
Yes.
awesome.
And that's because that's what I love. I love hearing the beginning. I love the inspiration. Like, tell me about the spider bite. Tell me about the tragic event that happened to turn you into this person that helps other people massively move forward.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, can we get into your process a little bit? So how do you approach crafting a compelling content for social media and build let me edit this later. For all you watching live, I mess up at least once on the live, and this is that one time. So that's my mulligan for those that like golf. So let's reverse. So let's talk about your process a little bit. How do you help people craft compelling content that builds relationships?
Yeah, the way that we do that, first we have a discovery call to see if we're a good fit for each other. I don't just want to work with anybody. I'm after these people that are looking to make a difference, and furthering God's kingdom, honestly. That doesn't mean I'm only going to work with Christians. There's lots of people that are doing amazing good, but we have to see if we're a good fit. And I want you to be totally free and open to say, you know what, like you, love your personality. This was great, but it's not for me. And we can't know that without a discovery call. So that's where it all starts, to see if we click, if we have chemistry, and then from there, we would have more of that like consultation call. Like, what exactly are you looking for content wise? Like, how much content do you want? I make all the best recommendations as far as how often you should be posting, showing up on social media, but some of my clients are super busy and they're like, I don't even have time to post. That's why I'm coming to you. I need you to
Mhm.
do everything, and we're here for it. We're here for that. We're here to help and support so that you can do the thing that you're good at. So we'd have that consultation call, and then we would set up our real call, the call where I'm going to be directing you, asking you questions. We're going to dive into the story that we're going to tell for that month, because every single month we work together, there's going to be a different story. There's going to be something different that we're talking about. And the beauty of having content done like this with one conversation, a month's worth of content, you are freeing up so much time for yourself. You
Mm.
don't have to worry about what am I going to post, or panic posting where you're like, okay, it snowed today. Let's take a picture of the snow and we're going to have content about a snowy day and maybe that'll work. You're not like guessing about what to talk about. We know what's coming next. And when you know what's coming next, you can plan, and it allows you as an entrepreneur to kind of take a deep breath and say, okay, that is done. I mean, raise your hand if you like the check mark to go, okay, that's done. That's done. And a month's worth of that's done. That's real valuable.
Mhm.
2 months worth of that's done. That is impactful, and I'm not here for the one-offs. I want to work with people who want to work together for a long period of time. Let's tell this story of your brand, of who you are, of where God has you, of the impact that you want to make on the world, because that can't happen in one post. That can't happen in 1 month, right?
Right.
How many of you got traction, got exactly where you want to go in 30 days? I mean, maybe in a diet, maybe you can lose 10 pounds in 30 days, but can you really connect with your clients and customers in 30 posts, 20 posts? That's just scratching the surface. We're here to tell the story of the whole iceberg. And that's going to take a while because you're a complicated person and it's going to take a while to tell the story. And that's what I love doing. And so that's our process. Then from that one conversation, we build a month's worth of content, graphics to go along with it. And if you want to fly me somewhere, I'd love that. Fly me out. Let's do a photography video story. That is really fun. I have gone to New Jersey and Colorado for sessions. And it's been amazing. Chicago too, because it's kind of close to me. So it's not that we can't work together, but not only do we offer the words, but the graphics, and then we offer direction because we know video sells, right? People are watching more video content. You look at the landscape of what's going on in social media, it's video, video, video. And we know the struggle it is for you to know, what do I do a video about? What do I say? So we provide the copy that goes along with the video, along with the direction to help you make that video yourself. And yeah, that's just been hugely successful in our clients, and we're really seeing a lot of traction. And like I said, one conversation equals a month worth of content. Who wouldn't want that?
Right. Wow. So powerful. In my thoughts while you were talking, I was just picturing all the brands or people. None of like nobody that anybody that follows, um, that you follow has had 30 days of content and just fell off the earth and right, because that's why it has to be consistent.
Exactly. And that's part of personal branding. You have to be consistent, you have to show up, you have to have this heart-led content, you have to be transparent. There's all these different musts of personal branding, and consistency is usually the number one thing. The other thing that I love to touch on is I say a month's worth of content, and you can utilize that in lots of different ways on lots of different platforms, right? When you have a month's worth, you can say, boom, Instagram done, boom, LinkedIn done, Facebook done. You can be everywhere. I'm not saying you should be. You should be where your ideal client is. And I can give direction with that too. There are so many statistics out there that can help us know where your ideal client is, and where we can look through, like, who have you connected with? Who are you looking to connect with? What places do they frequent? But here's what I'll tell you. If you think people aren't on social media, if you think they're just going to find you on your website, the first thing that I do when I get a business card is stalk them on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I check them out. I see what they're about. And if you haven't posted anything in 2 months or in 6 days, I'm like, okay, like how invested are you? Or if you're just reposting other people's content, I'm like, this tells me nothing about you. Are you even a real person? I mean, I
Yeah.
know they're real. I got
Yeah.
their business card, but I want to peek behind the curtain to see who I'm going to have lunch with. And that's the best place to show that is on social media.
I am going to ask you a question that isn't on my question list just because it came to mind. So
Awesome.
what do you do with the person that comes to you that needs this, but is an introvert and doesn't really like putting themselves out on social media?
See, I love working with introverts because I have found them to be the hidden gems.
Mm.
Because there's so much usually going on behind and underneath underneath the hood, if you want to use a car analogy,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, if you're into theater. I feel like that's who I love to work with
Mm.
because maybe they are a little shy, because they don't really know how to talk about themselves, because they do want to connect. They just
Mhm.
need a little help. And I'm not saying push you over the edge, because clearly I'm an extrovert and I don't have trouble meeting people. That's the thing that we love to do, is help you with that content. And it's going to sound like you. It's not going to sound like me. And we're not utilizing AI. We're humans. My copywriter is a human copywriter. It's not Chat GPT, because we're not trying to attract other robots. AI is great for certain things, but if you want to attract humans, use a human. And we love writing things in our clients' voices. And my writer is just phenomenal at that. You cannot tell which post I wrote and which post she wrote.
Nice, nice, nice. So now I want to talk about, like, what do you see as the impact of helping somebody with what you do grow their business?
The impact is saving you time and money. I've got a statistic right here, and I'm so glad you asked that. 88% of Americans recently polled said they waste time daily, and an estimated of $54 to $1,028 of wasted time a
Wow.
day. And how much time, like how much is your time worth? How much time are you trying to craft that perfect something that maybe then you don't even post because you
Mm.
like self-doubt, self-worry, get all up in yourself, and you don't actually hit the button because you just can't.
Mhm.
We're good with that. We can post it all out for you, so you don't have to do any of that. You're not, an analysis paralysis, and so we're helping people save time and money and get back to doing what they're good at doing.
Yeah. Not to mention, if I could just add to that, you're putting them out there, their brand, their persona, that which is attracting people, which obviously grows the bottom line. So
Exactly. So it's all about how can you leverage who you are and share that and create these deep connections, right? Like that's what my mom was good at, relationships, connections. And I've figured out how to help other people with that magic.
nice, nice. Well, thank you so much, Trey. This has been amazing. So where do people find out more about you? Where can we send them to what links can we have them click on?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, I'm all about LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook too. I'm kind of getting to my capacity on friends. So LinkedIn's really definitely the way to go. And I am working on some new projects that I'm really excited about, more ways to help people, and partnerships. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything about that, but and another thing, the podcast. I'm really excited. My dream and goal was to get that together and launch it this month. So February is here, and I've done a lot of things to prep and get ready. So I'm excited to share other people's origin stories and to give value. That's what I'm excited about doing with the podcast, is being able to highlight other people and their stories.
So a couple quick things. The podcast is not out yet.
Not out yet.
Okay, so we won't have that. We will put the link
Right.
for the podcast once that podcast launches. So you check it. It may be there when depending on when you watch this, but we'll definitely put the links to your LinkedIn, Facebook. Like me, I'm also maxed out on Facebook. I hate going through and seeing who I don't want to be friends with anymore, because I want to be friends with them all. But
Exactly, me too. Like, increase that, Facebook.
yeah,
People have more than 4,000 friends. It's okay.
yeah, that is really cool. Oh, and so I will help you spill the beans a little bit,
Okay,
if that's all right with you. So Trae is
that's
going to be
totally fine.
a part of our profitable business membership. She's going to sprinkle some of her magic inside of our profitable business membership. So we're looking really forward to that, because we feel like she's a valuable asset coming on the team there. So
Yes, I was going to say I will include my survey link, which helps me just to get to know people when they're kind of making that first inquiry of like, what could I use more help with? What ways do I want to get connected? So I can include that in the show notes too.
all right, awesome. So all those links will be below. I ask one last question of every entrepreneur that comes on. Any parting words of wisdom for the entrepreneurs?
Parting words of wisdom. I was excited that you were going to ask this. And I recently got this daily grace prayer calendar.
Mm,
And something that I've been loving about it, I was looking for a new calendar. And this is actually bigger than I normally use, but they sent it to me for free. And every single day, there's a new thing to pray about and a verse of the week. And so this verse of the week I'd like to read to you. My soul bless the Lord, and all that is within me bless his holy name. My soul bless the Lord, and do not forget all his benefits. And then today's focus for prayer was to pray for God to increase your love for him. And that's just what I wanted to leave you with.
yeah, that's so ironic, because that's really what I've been praying like a lot lately, is just continue to build that relationship, God, because
Yes,
I just desire to go closer to you.
exactly.
So nice. Well, thank you again, Trae. And until next time, entrepreneurs, keep moving forward.